The laughter echoed across the bright executive hangar just as the morning sun poured through the massive glass walls, casting long golden reflections across polished aircraft. Every mechanic, pilot, and executive turned to look at the exhausted single father standing beside his faded pickup truck, holding his little daughter's hand while clutching a worn leather folder that contained everything he had left in the world. The billionaire CEO couldn't stop smiling after hearing his impossible request. To everyone watching, it looked like the biggest joke of the year. But less than 30 minutes later, alarms screamed throughout the airline headquarters, every executive phone began ringing at once, and the same people who had laughed suddenly realized the quiet father they had mocked possessed something far more valuable than money. Before we continue, if you believe kindness always returns and everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support helps these inspiring stories reach people who need them the most. The man was named Adrian Mercer, a 38-year-old widowed father raising his 9-year-old daughter, Hazel, alone. Life had been painfully unfair since his wife passed away from an unexpected illness 4 years earlier. Medical bills had swallowed their savings, forcing Adrian to sell almost everything he owned. Once an accomplished aerospace systems engineer, he now repaired farm equipment and old delivery trucks in a tiny roadside garage just outside the city. His clothes were clean but worn, his boots carried years of honest work, and his old pickup rattled every time it started. Yet despite every hardship, Hazel never saw bitterness in her father's eyes. She only saw determination, kindness, and endless love. Hazel dreamed of becoming a pilot. Every afternoon after school, she and Adrian would sit on a grassy hill overlooking the airport where commercial jets climbed gracefully into the blue daytime sky. Adrian explained how wings created lift, how engines worked, and why every bolt inside an aircraft mattered. Although they had little money, those afternoons became the richest moments of their lives. Hazel believed her father could fix anything, and Adrian secretly hoped she would never lose that faith. Everything changed when Horizon Crown Airlines announced the retirement of one of its older executive business jets. The aircraft would be auctioned to private buyers. Adrian had followed its maintenance history for years. Hidden beneath its aging interior was a revolutionary prototype navigation safety package that he himself had helped design nearly 15 years earlier before leaving the aerospace industry. Only a handful of engineers knew its true capabilities, and Adrian feared the system had never received the software updates necessary to keep operating safely. Unable to ignore the risk, Adrian gathered every document he still possessed and drove to Horizon Crown's headquarters. His savings amounted to barely enough for a modest used car, nowhere near enough to purchase a jet. Still, he believed that if he could meet the owner, perhaps he could negotiate access to the aircraft long enough to inspect it before anyone flew it again. The airline's young CEO, Vivian Ashcroft, had inherited the company after her father's retirement. Brilliant in finance but impatient with ordinary people, she had built a reputation for making fast decisions and trusting numbers more than people. When her assistants informed her that a broke mechanic wished to buy an executive jet, curiosity mixed with amusement. She agreed to meet him, expecting entertainment before her next board meeting. Standing inside the luxurious hangar, Adrian calmly explained that he wished to purchase the aircraft because it contained an unfinished safety system that required immediate inspection. His financial documents revealed he could never afford even 1% of the asking price. Executives exchanged amused glances while photographers preparing for a promotional event quietly watched the scene unfold. Vivian looked at Adrian's weathered jacket, then at the old pickup visible outside the hangar doors. She laughed politely at first, then more openly, believing he was either confused or desperate for attention. Several executives joined her laughter. Adrian never raised his voice. He simply repeated that the aircraft should not be flown until its navigation package had been examined. Vivian dismissed his concerns, thanking him for his passion before turning away to continue preparations for a publicity demonstration flight scheduled that afternoon. Adrian felt embarrassed, but not angry. Hazel squeezed his hand, reminding him that doing the right thing mattered even when nobody listened. They quietly walked back toward their pickup under the warm afternoon sunlight. Then everything changed. Less than half an hour later, Horizon Crown's operations center erupted into chaos. Multiple aircraft simultaneously reported unexplained navigation inconsistencies after receiving synchronization signals from the retired executive jet during routine maintenance testing. Warning systems activated across the airline's internal network. Flights preparing for departure were immediately delayed. Air traffic coordinators declared a company-wide technical emergency. Red warning lights flashed throughout headquarters as emergency response teams rushed into conference rooms. Executives stared helplessly at computer screens displaying unfamiliar error codes. One senior engineer suddenly recognized a name buried inside decades-old documentation. Adrian Mercer. The engineer remembered working beside Adrian years earlier on an experimental predictive navigation platform designed to prevent catastrophic positioning failures before they occurred. Adrian had created several unique safety algorithms that no one else fully understood after he resigned following his wife's illness. Vivian's confident expression disappeared. Security cameras showed Adrian and Hazel slowly driving away from headquarters. For the first time that day, the Billionaire CEO wasn't laughing. She ordered every available vehicle to locate the father before the technical failures spread further. Adrian had already returned to his small garage where he quietly resumed repairing a rusted tractor. When a convoy of luxury SUVs arrived, neighboring shop owners watched in disbelief as airline executives hurried toward the grease-covered mechanic. Vivian stepped out first. The confidence that had filled her voice earlier had vanished. She sincerely apologized for dismissing him and explained the emergency affecting her airline. Adrian listened silently before wiping his hands clean. Without hesitation, he agreed to help. Not because of money. Not because of pride. But because thousands of passengers trusted those airplanes with their lives. He asked only one condition. That every technician inside Horizon Crown's maintenance division be included in solving the problem so they could understand the system instead of depending on one person forever. Vivian accepted immediately. Inside the airline's engineering center, Adrian spent the next several hours tracing software pathways that nobody else understood. He patiently explained every step, teaching young engineers rather than showing off his knowledge. Hazel quietly completed homework in a nearby conference room while occasionally smiling proudly at her father through the glass walls. Late that evening, Adrian finally located the source of the malfunction. The prototype safety package had continued learning from outdated satellite references for years without receiving mandatory calibration updates. During maintenance synchronization, it attempted to share obsolete navigation data across connected systems, triggering protective alerts before any aircraft became unsafe. Ironically, the emergency existed because Adrian's original design worked exactly as intended. It detected danger before tragedy could happen. After installing corrected software and verifying every affected aircraft, Horizon Crown safely resumed operations. Hundreds of delayed passengers applauded airline staff without ever knowing how close the company had come to disaster. Vivian stood quietly in the maintenance hangar long after everyone else had left. She realized the poorest man she had ever laughed at had protected not only her airline but also her reputation, her employees, and countless families traveling that day. The next morning, instead of offering Adrian a simple consulting fee, Vivian presented something entirely unexpected. She offered him the position of Chief Aviation Safety Director with complete authority to modernize every engineering procedure across the company. Adrian accepted only after ensuring the position would still allow him enough time to raise Hazel himself. Months passed. The struggling roadside garage became a community training center sponsored by Horizon Crown Airlines, where young mechanics learned advanced aviation engineering free of charge. Hazel finally visited an aircraft cockpit not as a tourist but beside her father, who proudly showed her the systems he helped protect. Vivian changed as well. She began visiting maintenance crews personally, listening to baggage handlers, cleaners, technicians, and mechanics before making executive decisions. She discovered that wisdom often wore work boots instead of expensive suits. The retired executive jet that Adrian had once tried to purchase was never sold. Instead, it became a flying educational laboratory where engineering students studied aviation safety, carrying a small plaque near its entrance. It read, "Never underestimate honest knowledge hidden behind humble circumstances." As years passed, Horizon Crown became known not simply for luxury but for possessing one of the safest engineering cultures in the aviation industry. Employees often shared the story of the broke single father who walked into headquarters carrying nothing but truth, courage, and hope. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes that character is worth more than wealth, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire so more inspiring stories can reach families around the world. Special request: before this story ends, comment below with one word, respect, if you believe we should never judge someone's value by their appearance or their bank account. As the sun rose over the airport on another beautiful day, Hazel watched dozens of aircraft lift gracefully into the clear blue sky. She no longer dreamed simply of becoming a pilot. She dreamed of protecting every passenger who trusted those wings. Adrian smiled quietly beside her, knowing the greatest inheritance he could ever leave his daughter was not money, fame, or success, but a life built on humility, integrity, compassion, and the courage to keep doing the right thing even when the whole world laughs first. And in the end, it wasn't the billionaire's wealth that saved the airline. It was the heart of a single father who refused to let pride become more important than protecting strangers he would never even meet. That quiet act of selfless courage proved that true greatness is never measured by what a person owns, but by how many lives they choose to protect when no one is watching.